So, fake news.
Fake news.
So this is so funny because like it became a deal. They were like fake news, and like every time I post something that people didn't like, they'd be like fake news or whatever. Like it just became a name call.
Yeah, it's such a buzzword right now. I actually dislike how people kind of say it just to cover all kinds of things, but fake news is such a real problem. It's a real thing, and it's a real problem that's happening right now.
Where are you seeing it, for example, like fake news right now?
Fake news 100% is most seen on social networking. All of your social media, you are seeing fake news, and you know it's astounding the smart people that are out in the world that are liking, reposting, sharing things, retweeting things that are obviously fake and some that aren't so obvious. So I think it's really important to give people the tools and the understanding of how to define fake news from real news, from half-truths, and you know, kind of give people some resources on how they can, you know, set apart the truth from
Well, it's
fake.
also like 6 Degrees with Kevin Bacon. Do you remember that game? So it's like it comes from like one place and then to another. So
Right.
like if dude posts something, but it's from another source,
Right.
and that person screwed up, it cascades down. So like, for
Absolutely.
example, someone very respectable, Jimmy Fallon, let's say he retweets an article in some thing. Well, you like Jimmy, and you assume that what he's tweeting is accurate.
Exactly.
Because you trust Jimmy.
Right.
Now, I'm not picking on Jimmy. I got a picture of Jimmy here, okay? I love Jimmy. But I'm definitely not picking on Jimmy.
Right.
But I'm just using him as an example. People trust him.
A credible source of information, somebody
Right.
who you
Or
know
someone you
you
like.
rely on. Right.
Yeah, someone you like, and maybe
Right.
someone you agree with. And they post something that's another source, and that source needs to be vetted. So that's, I think, the really big problem. Because I think if, like, thedailyamerican.com is, you know, like, posting articles, I don't think people, like, directly, I don't think people are, like, flocking to
See,
it.
but you think that, though. You think that because you, I think, you're more apt to know the difference between something that sounds like a legitimate website versus something that is a legitimate website. But other people would think thedailyamerican.com, like, totally, this is credible.
Sounds legit.
Sounds super legit.
Wait a minute, they're posting something that agrees with my agenda.
Right.
Sounds legit.
No, and
That's the
actually,
problem.
that is one big thing. Like, you got to check your bias at the door, because one thing is like people have the tendency to say, hey, you know, they just think automatically like, this is what I believe. This is something that makes absolute sense to me. So clearly this is a credible source. But like right under the article, then you see like diet pills and like, you know, Kim Kardashian's butt. And you're like, no, this is not a credible news source.
It's so true.
It's true.
It's always like, it's like male enhancement drugs,
Right.
diet pills, Kim Kardashian's booty.
100%.
And then 100 naked celebrities photos you
Exactly.
have to see today. Like,
Yes.
that's a fake news site.
Absolutely. So that's one good way to determine if you're looking at an article that is a credible article, a news source, is look around the website and
You know what the
see
bad
what else
news
is on the
though?
page.
The bad news about fake news?
What?
So like if you go...
Everything? Everything is
There are a
bad
number
news
of
about
things.
it.
But the thing that's tough is that like the Washington Post or the New York Times or even the San Diego Union Tribune, a lot of times when they post an article, you try to go to it, you get like blocked. It's like, oh, you have to sign up, or you can only see
Sure.
this much of the article, or here's a pop-up, and it's really annoying. The fake news sites are smarter because what they've done is they're not doing that.
Right.
They're putting Kim Kardashian's booty with the Google AdSense at the bottom of the page.
Sure.
And they're writing a really short article so that you quickly get to her booty and start clicking on stuff. 'cause
Right.
that's how they get paid.
Or accidentally click.
Or accidentally click. They
Yeah.
still get paid. So that's the hard part. Is like the credible sources, the way they're running their web presence is really
Intelligent.
it's tough. Like the actual news sources are doing, I think, a bad job because the way that they're doing it is they're putting all these blockades to get the content.
Sure.
I know me. I'm partial millennial, right? Like
Right.
I have some of that.
I like
so
the partial. You
I'm
see
partial
that?
millennial.
You note that?
And partial old man. And I use hashtags after I say the words.
Gonna work on that.
But the thing is, I can't handle that.
Right.
I can't handle a pre-roll video ad
Yeah, you
before I
want me
read
to
my
give you
article.
an email? No. Yeah.
Come
Actually,
now.
that's very true. But you have to, as a consumer, be aware of that. And, you know, you have to understand, like, if it's really easy to react to, if it's clearly biased, if it's really easy to access, and you look around the page and this seems to be just the most credible thing on the page, you know, what you're reading is probably not real. Don't like it, don't share it, or look further into it. You know, there are lots of other ways to check. You know, check the date, check the author, check the details, check the about me on the page. There are websites where you can, I mean, that is the easiest way to check, you know, the credibility of a source is a story. There are so many websites, Snopes.com, FactCheck, PolitiFact. I mean, even Wikipedia.
Some of those sites have actually been proven to be biased as well.
Right.
So, like, it's tough. So even so remember when Kevin Spacey made his big post recently?
Yes.
Can we talk about Kevin Spacey for
Yes.
a second? Because this is the last time I had to fact check something. I'm pretty much not sharing anything anymore. Literally. Like, I'll see it and I'll be like, I just don't have the time
Right.
to research it
Right.
before I can go post that. It sounds reasonable, but I saw the Kevin Spacey post and I went, okay, I need to go check this out.
Right.
So what I do is I go right to the source. I go to
Right.
his Facebook page. I go to his
Absolutely.
Twitter account. Like, did he say this? And I see it posted right there. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to share this and see what people think about it, which is a whole nother subject. Well, you know, what he posted and what's going on in Hollywood
Yeah.
right now and the crumbling. Am I the only one who assumed that was already happening? I thought it was just kind of common knowledge that this is how Hollywood is.
I mean, for me, I had always kind of known. I feel like, I mean, for me as a woman, you know, all of the Me Too, I really appreciate that it's out there, but, you know, I mean, I guess I was wrong under the assumption that everybody already knew that this was going on. And yeah, absolutely in Hollywood. I mean, I feel like just people in power positions, it's just been like a known thing.
Especially the way Hollywood works, though.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like they could take
It's
you and
very
make you a star.
disappointing, right.
It's extremely disappointing.
Right.
The degree, I think, is what's been so
Right,
shocking.
right.
And all the people that are being involved and all the names that are coming up now and some of that stuff. But you know, I looked at that and was like, okay, I need to fact check this. I want to say something about it because there's a lot there. There was a lot to take in that
Sure.
one post by Kevin Spacey. And I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Yeah.
You know, so it's tough also when you're a fan of someone to see things like that come up, and then that's where your own personal bias comes in. So
That's true.
I think what we should probably do is zoom out just a tad on this real quick.
Yeah.
Because when you say the word news, that's a word that has an interesting definition to it. So, and I went to journalism school.
Information and
So-
misinformation.
So, what's news? Okay, well, in school, they teach you about truth and how to report it, but they teach you how to put a sexy slant on it.
Right.
Because
A spin.
Yeah, even in the days of the newspaper, which is when I went to college, they were teaching us how to write for that. It was all about headline writing.
Right.
Like you take an entire class on writing headlines. How do you write a headline? Thank goodness for that class, because now it's just as applicable for everything else.
Yeah. You do it all the time.
Do it all the time. do it for this. But like, there was always this understanding that we were going to sensationalize whatever it was we were talking about.
Sure.
And that was just a known. And you went there, and if you didn't like that, you were out for a semester. Like you would just be like, I can't do this.
Right.
If you're like, okay, that makes sense now. Now I know why they're trying to make a big deal out of things. They want people to pay attention. That's how they make the money. Okay, that makes sense. I'm okay with that. But then it just keeps going to another degree.
That's the
and
thing.
Another degree.
People have
and
just
another degree.
taken it and run with it, and with the internet and the availability of you know, all of this information and misinformation that people are overwhelmed with right now. I mean, people aren't even reading past headlines. They're going and spreading articles that they haven't even literally opened up and read. You know, people aren't even realizing too, you like something and that opens it up on your social media for other people to see. You don't even have to repost it or share it. You can like it and someone else is going to see that pop up. And
True.
they might believe it. Maybe you are just liking it, just quickly, just whatever, you know, boom.
Yeah.
But someone else is like taking that and they're like, oh my God, I need to tell everyone. You know, one thing that we were just talking about is, the reason why this came up for me is because there recently was an Amazon, an article on Amazon that Amazon moved to San Diego.
Oh yeah, that they were
Or
they chose San Diego.
They're choosing San Diego as their headquarters too, which there's like, this is a huge thing right now. There are like 240 cities that are out trying to win, you know, the headquarters, the next headquarters of Amazon. So that's true. That's really happening, but there has been no official announcement. And there recently was an article that said, hey, San Diego was chosen, yay. And it seemed like it was a legit site. It was like Chicago Tribune Daily.com or something that sounded somewhat legitimate. But when you go on that, you know, and search for that news, there's no other news sources citing that article.
When you read that article, which I did read, it says there that the headline is completely different from the content.
Right.
So it's like, it said something like San Diego to be Amazon's second headquarters, or San Diego wins, or something like that. And you went and reread it, there's quotes from Jeff Bezos and stuff in there, and it was like, nothing was actually true about that.
Right.
So there's a lot of deceit involved in this stuff, and I think this is, so zooming back out,
yeah,
we have to understand when we talk about news, it's a business, and that's my point. Even in school, even as a freshman in broadcast journalism, they will start to groom you for the business end of the stick, right? And so what's the purpose
That's
then?
what really matters, you know,
that's
the monetizing.
That's what everyone's
Right.
concerned, at the end of the day, it's what everyone's concerned about. They're concerned about ratings because that makes money.
Right.
So when you look at these news organizations, why are they saying stuff? Why do they do a story? They do it because they think it's what you want to hear. They're just like any other business. I mean, in real estate, when you help someone buy a home, you're trying to help them find the home that they really like.
Exactly.
The one that they really want.
Right.
And that's the one that they'll buy. In news, it's the same thing. I want to show you the story that you want.
The good agents are doing that.
Right. Ideally.
Ideally.
In news, it's the same thing.
Right.
I'm going to show you the story that I think you'll like, because then you'll buy it.
Exactly.
And then I'll have your eyeballs, and that's what I'm looking for. So they're giving you what they think you want.
Right.
Not what's true. In reality, like true journalism, and there are still some true journalists out there, but in true journalism, there's no opinion. It's just fact.
Right. The truth.
Yeah, and facts are really not disputable. They should be easily sourced.
Yes.
So and that's why a lot of these like secret source, secret
Anonymous.
sources, anonymous sources.
Well, that's another tip off. Anonymous. Come
Anonymous
on.
sources.
Be smarter than that, people.
Yeah, that's weak. That's super weak. And I understand some sources need to be anonymous, and some news people have anonymous sources, and they're like, hey, my sources are saying this. I don't know if it's true. That's okay. Like, hey, my sources told me this. I don't know if it's true, but let's keep our eyes peeled. That's totally okay.
Right.
But to come out and say, this is what's happening, this is the da-da-da-da-da-da, and I saw a lot of this stuff with the election. It was just insane. But the truth behind even the big, credible news organizations is they're still just trying to give you what you want.
Right.
So it's the reality is now, if you want to know what's going on, you have to do your own journalistic work, and that's hard. You do have to go do research. You have to go. The good thing about Twitter is that you can go right to the source. I mean, that's really what it's for. Like, you want to know what someone thinks or what someone's PR announcement is about whatever just happened.
They say it.
They just tweet it. They don't even call the news stations anymore. They don't have to go into the news station. They don't have to satellite in to give their statement. They just tweet it, and then every news station goes, he released this on Twitter. Here's what his Twitter statement says.
Right.
So you can go to certain places where Twitter has verified accounts for people, or even Facebook has verified accounts for people.
Yep.
That will solve most issues because they're around a person.
Absolutely. I think that people just need to require of themselves to take that 90 seconds, that 2 minutes, to look into what it is that they are reading. It's really important, and it's super important that we teach our kids to understand the difference between just reading something that's sensational and then going and sharing it and taking the time to make sure that it's credible. Be tech savvy. This is our world that we're creating, and there are a lot of things that you can screw up by sharing, news that's incorrect. People vote certain ways because of it. People, become emotional about things. Like, you can cause a riot over fake news, literally. You can cause a lot of hurt and fear. So I think that as individuals, we need to be super responsible about what we're putting on our social media, what we're reading, what we're sharing, and have a true understanding of how important it really is.
Or what if you were in San Diego and you were going to buy a house in Chula Vista and you saw that article that, oh, Amazon's moving in? Honey, we better put the offer in. Get it.
I guarantee you that there were people that read. I actually personally on my Facebook had several real estate agents, lenders.
Correct, me too.
People in the industry that are smart people. I'm not saying, you know, that one was a tricky one. You know, and there's a lot of
want it
news
to
out
be
there
true,
like that.
though.
You want it to be true.
We do. We want it to be true so bad that it's you look at it and you go, oh, yes.
Exactly.
I got to be the first one to share it. Because they're telling us what we want to hear.
Exactly.
So again, that's the business of news.
Right.
Let me ask you guys this, and I'll ask everyone in here. Do you guys know what spam is?
Yeah.
What is spam?
Ads or
Right.
Ads?
Viral.
or malware or something.
Malware, okay.
Like it can attack your computer.
Emails you don't want.
Yeah.
That's spam. Spam is food. I don't know how. It's like food for poor people.
She's Filipino. She knows that too.
We will get.
Yeah.
I see your comments.
In Hawaii, it's breakfast, okay?
Brian Garrity, Mary Cronin Lawler, I will get to your comments in just a second. I want to make one real quick point. So, spam is food. Now, I don't know why they chose to name bad emails after spam. Poor the spam people, you know, because like that puts such a negative connotation. But still in the grocery store, I still see it. So, but here's the thing. There is a little bit of a responsibility. Like if you do catch something, like if you're one of the people who is tech savvy and you are like, you know, and you see one of these things, you research it and you see that it's spam, don't be like, hey, this is spam, you're an idiot, blah, blah, blah. Go and actually mark the article as spam.
Right.
Let Facebook know.
Absolutely.
Let the social media outlets know, hey, this is spam. This is not correct information.
Sure.
That's where we can really help one another out. Because if you just comment, hey, this is spam, what are you posting this BS?
Not that many people are going to see it. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's true.
It actually increases the number of people who organically are going to see that article when you comment that.
Like with the whole J-Lo's moving to Escondido thing.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
Oh, that's not true? Jade, pull the comments up real quick. Brian Garrity, he says 2 of my favorites. Hey, Brian Garrity, Wes Shaw, you are 2 of my favorites.
Seriously.
Mary Chronology, she says news is now infotainment. Yep, very, very true.
Yeah.
They can later walk back their report. That's true. The press used to be proud of accuracy over timing. That's actually 100%
very true.
Correct. That it used to be that, you know, accuracy was the most important
now
thing.
It's kind of like,
No, now it's like, hey, I need eyeballs today. I need eyeballs right now.
Right.
And if you don't get them, he's getting them or she's getting them. So give me the eyeballs right now, right now.
Change things.
So that's what we're doing right now.
Demand change, people.
That's what we're doing right now.
No, it's true.
People are boycotting. Like a lot of these things are just like simply dying. You know, like a lot of major industry. I'm not going to go into why the NFL is losing so much favor, but that is. The National Football League is going down in flames right now, and people don't even realize it. It is going down in financial flames right now.
Wow.
And that's not propagated on fake news. It's really about the interpretation of news and how people are taking the same action, and then on this side they're running it with it this way, on this side they're running with it that way. So it's not really fake news, but it's the agenda of the news organizations that gets essentially injected into the people who already think that. So I actually don't think that a lot of these, you know, fake stories and fake news are actually changing anyone's opinions. What I think that they're doing is I think that they're causing people to be more rooted, more stuck, more blinders on with the opinion they already have.
Sure.
Instead of being more open-minded.
Because people are choosing to believe what they already believe, and they're just finding more evidence behind it.
Confirmations.
Right.
If you're looking for truth, what's the first thing you have to do? You can't assume anything.
Right.
But if you are looking for confirmations for your beliefs, you'll find them. Yeah. Eventually, whether it's
especially on the internet.
Whether it's fake news.
You'll find anything on the internet.
Or whatever, but you'll find it, right?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm passionate about this subject.
I'm very glad
My
that you
head's
got
about to
talked about
explode.
it today. I know. J-Lo's not moving to Escondido.
So wait a minute, yeah, back to that. So I was hoping to run into J-Lo, like, that's not going to happen?
Well, gosh, I mean, I've seen some good ones lately, like Eminem's tire blew, and he thinks that.
I saw that one.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Escondido again.
Yeah. Escondido, good peeps in Escondido.
Yeah,
I-
they are.
Shout
They're
out to
really
Esco.
good, and you know.
Did he say that on his official Twitter account?
Oh, I don't know.
Definitely not.
Definitely.
Because no, in different cities. No, then it's like Harrison Ford was in Canton, Ohio, and his tire blew, and it's like really like so many celebrities' tires blew in these random cities and these random little towns.
I feel like there'd be pictures.
Yeah, I mean, or like you said, that you could go directly to the source, and there would be Eminem. Like, I love Escondido.
It should be there. And that's what most news is around a person.
Right.
So or multiple people. So I think you can go and you can look at their just individual Twitter accounts and see what's going on. Now, if someone's being accused of something, they may not say anything right away.
Sure.
They may have to collect themselves, talk to the attorneys, talk to the PR people, and be like,
Right.
all right, what are we going to say?
Right.
Apparently, Kevin Spacey did not do that before he opened his mouth. What did you think about that, by the way? What were your what were your feelings of that? I was all twisted up.
That he came out and just.
Well, that he just like said, "Hey, I'm sorry, you know, about what I did to this person. No, by the way, I'm bisexual."
Right.
Like,
I mean,
this seemed like two different statements
it seemed like two different statements
merged into one. Almost like he's like, "You have to forgive me now because I'm coming out. You can't be mad at me." That's what
Yeah.
it seemed like to me.
No, I mean, I see that. I definitely see that. It was kind of like, well, now you know, so now you know. You know, but I mean, it just, you can't shield yourself from the wrongdoing that you did with like now admitting that you're bisexual. It's just, it's.
I think the only way you can really come clean and get anything out of it in that situation, I think it's, so part of me is always at least somewhat warm to people who are willing to admit that they did something wrong.
Right.
I'm like, okay, all right, they admitted they did something wrong.
Sure.
That's a good first step.
Better than, what's his face?
Better than denying it. I did not have relations with that woman. But, you know, outside of that, you know, for people who do admit it, I think that's a good first step. However,
Or you could be Harry Weinstein and you could just,
deny,
and hire like, you know.
bazillions of attorneys and take the fifth and all that crap. Disgusting. So if you're going to come out and apologize, I think you have to, and actually expect to get something for it, you have to like say, hey, there are other people too that this may have happened with,
Right.
and I apologize to the people. I'm gonna call them all individually and apologize. Like, you have to actually come and apologize. You can't just admit to the crimes
I'm
that
sure
you've
that
been
I was
accused
drunk.
of.
I was too drunk to know, but yeah, it probably happened.
Yeah, that's the wrong route. That's the
I
wrong
think
route.
at that point, it's like, I give up. I'm a terrible person. Here it is. Just throw it out there. You know?
Yeah.
It's sad.
It's tough. Well, it's like, so, you know, I worked at Sears in asset protection for years when I was younger.
Really?
Going to college and stuff like that, catching people stealing. I caught a guy who had a 25-year career at Sears stealing from the
It's
company.
like walking out with a lawnmower and they're like, I'm not stealing this right now.
Usually electronics. And it was
Wow.
almost always the employees that were stealing. And this guy was the RTV guy, so if something broke, you gave it to him. He was supposed to send it back to the manufacturer and get a credit, but he had no oversight. Anyway, this guy, you know, we caught him stealing like $1,000 worth of tools. And by the time we got done with him in the room, in the interrogation room, he admitted to stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff.
My God.
But I had the ability to have him in a locked room,
Right.
cuffed, and like, you're in trouble, you know, and so he just went blah. But these guys hide behind Twitter and stuff. They don't have that.
Right.
So if he was in the same situation, he'd be like, oh yeah, sorry, I stole that, like miscommunication, and I'm so sorry. So you don't get to drill down. So I think in order to really be forgiven, people want to hear the whole shebang.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know if
You
Kevin
gotta fully
Spacey's ready
come
to say
clean.
that. Exactly.
You got to fully come clean. Otherwise, it's like, it's all or nothing.
I agree. I agree, and I don't think we got all from him.
No.
So that
Will
felt
we ever?
empty. That felt empty to me.
Will we ever?
And then House of Cards got canceled.
I know. I can't believe, I mean, kudos to
Great
Netflix
show.
for like, I mean, that's a huge show for them. Netflix was just like, no, we're done with you.
Yeah, that's the power of being Netflix.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, are they going to lose any subscribers because there's no more House of Cards?
No.
Probably not that
I
many.
mean, it had to have been going down from the first couple seasons anyway, but still.
Netflix is your best $10 a month that you spend. Let's be honest.
It's
like,
true. Or that like
Netflix-
your aunt spends. And
Yes,
then,
and
you know,
you siphon.
everybody has access to.
Yes, but that's the best $10. Like, I've always thought, like, trying to come up with different products and something. Like, gosh, I could never do anything better than that for $10.
It's true.
It's insane. So I don't think that Netflix lost anything other than a great show. But you know, it's a weird thing. So anyway, the biggest threat, in my opinion, this is where I'm going to come all the way back around
Full
to
circle.
fake news. The biggest threat is in the financial world.
Right.
Specifically, it's in real estate. So we have two big things happening right now. One's been going on forever. Let's see. Okay, Mary, I see you got some more updated news article, the red flag of fake news too. Yeah. Yeah. Yep, 100% true. After flagging activities as spam, people flag stuff, she says, people flag stuff they disagree with, which may or may not be spam. They just don't want exposure to the other viewpoints. So when a Facebook user labels something as
Sure.
spam, it puts the burden, on the portal rather than on the source writer. Hey, that's a good point.
That is a good point.
That's so lame. People stop being lame. Mary, thank you for your insight. She's so brilliant.
It's about integrity,
correct.
We need to have integrity as people. I mean, it's a lot to expect, really. Right
Unfortunately.
now. Unfortunately, it feels like a lot to expect. Logic, integrity,
I had a point that I was going to make.
No,
and
go.
I just forgot.
Full circle.
Full circle.
real estate.
Real estate. So there's two big scams going on right now.
Okay.
And a lot of it is associated with essentially what we could call fake news. Now, it's
Sure.
not happening on Facebook necessarily.
Okay.
But public posting sites, similar forum style sites like Craigslist. So
You can't even go on Craigslist anymore.
it's almost that point for real estate.
Yeah,
it really
absolutely.
is. It really is. Like when you see that rental and you're like, oh, it's perfect. Like, oh, it's a good price, right where I
every
want it.
rental that I've ever had posted has been ripped off. And
Really?
every single one on Craigslist. And I've had to then combat, flag it, apologize to 10 people who almost sent checks. Please don't send checks to random people in Africa.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's crazy.
aren't we done with that? Nobody.
No, there's better scams than that though. Like, so I went to one. We were looking for a house. This was years ago, but they had it posted. They said, "This is where it is. Here's pictures of it. It's beautiful. It's in Rancho Bernardo."
Right.
Went there with my wife and my little baby daughter at the time, and we walked in, and I was like, "Something is not right about this." There was people coming in and out. It felt like a drug house or something, but like there was like the kingpin was upstairs in the executive suite, like up there at a desk, and they were like,
Seriously?
yeah, and there were like chicks just hanging around, and it was so strange. I walked in, I was like, hey, so we're here obviously for the open house to like see them. He's like, oh yeah, other people are looking around too. He's like, go ahead and look around. Like, no big deal. Yeah, just go ahead and look around my house. I don't know who the hell they are, but go ahead and look around. So that was my first red flag.
Okay.
Then they sort of brushed us off. They're like, nah. They saw that we were a family, I think, and they felt bad. They didn't want to screw over us.
Wow.
They didn't want to rip us off.
They're looking for like the young people.
They were looking for someone that they didn't like.
Wow.
They could rip off because they were like, yeah, here's the deal. You get 2 months up front and blah, blah, blah. And that stuff was all like disclosed.
Okay.
But I think that they either owned the home and hadn't made payments, or they were renting it themselves, didn't own it at all,
And we're going to sublease it.
and we're just going to buzz out of town. Because
Wow.
like if they are there and they don't pay rent, right, it's really hard for the landlord to kick them out. And then they sublease it to someone else. It'd be a while before they figure that out. So they might get away with 60, 70 grand or
Well, the Craigslist
something.
people that were calling me were saying that the people pretending to be the owners, pretending to be the property managers, were using the name, the actual name on record.
That's correct.
So they were going and doing this is smart thieves. They're using sources like public sources, and they're saying, "Hi, I am Mr." And I'm like, "No, that is not my client, because my client is not going to talk to you. All communications have to go through me. Certainly, I've never spoken to you before."
It's so this is the new scam. So the new scam, and this is happening in escrow in real estate too. Have you seen one of these yet?
Tell
the wire fraud things.
Yeah, yeah.
So what they're doing is the scammers actually they're so it used to be like they'd hack your email, right?
Right.
And then they would send out like blast emails for like whatever you would call like generic Viagra pills to your whole like database. That's not the new scam. Now they're looking to see what the heck it is that you do.
Right.
And then they're trying to like see who you're communicating with and seeing how they can somehow get money out of somebody. So they're just watching. They're hacking your emails
Sure.
and you don't know that they've hacked it because they're
Right.
just in there looking at your emails as you're sending them all day.
Yeah, we used to be able to forward wiring instructions to our buyers from escrow to the agent to the buyer. We cannot do that anymore. Escrow now, good escrows,
Yeah.
are required to go directly to the buyer. Sometimes they require to speak directly to the buyer
Yep.
and confirm, like, I'm speaking to you. This is the
Right.
account number.
Because the scam is that the scammers will call
Right.
and say, hey, there's been a lot of fraud. So we can't email you or send this to you in writing. We want to give it to you over the phone. Here's the wiring instructions. Send it to this account this day. And you have like 72 hours from
Sure.
the time that gets sent.
Right.
Usually it's going internationally, like before it's gone forever.
Right.
So you have to catch it pretty fast. And they'll do all sorts of interference. They'll run all sorts of interference on trying to slow you down.
It's true.
To catching up to them. So that is happening. Also, my fiance, bless her heart, she's so sweet and she just believes everyone.
She is really sweet.
She's such a darling. Something popped up on her computer saying, hey, you've got a virus, whatever. She clicked on it. There's like, call right now. She called. The guy was like, hey, it's $300. Now she was texting me. She's like, hey, there's a virus on the computer. It's $300. I was like, sweetheart, the computer costs $300. Like, just throw it in the trash. You know what I mean? If it's really messed up and doesn't work anymore, just throw it in the trash. And she said that he got her because he was like, yeah, it could affect other computers that are used. So she was worried about my computer getting infected by her computer. She had the credit card out. She said, I had a gut feeling at the last second. She said, I can't do this, and hung up on him.
Wow.
But they almost had her. And so
And they're, for every one person though that they're getting another, that they're almost getting, they're getting another 5. It's,
oh, no question.
yeah. Yeah.
No question. What they told her was that it's not safe. You have a virus. This is what it's called. I can see your computer right now. I can see that you have this happening. It's like eating.
Yeah.
So everyone's trying to, these scammers are trying to pretend to be the good guys.
Absolutely.
That's the new scam.
Absolutely.
That's the new scam.
Well, there's people who are pretending to be police. There's people who are pretending to be tax, IRS. You just have to be really diligent, really careful, and it's all over. You just check your sources.
Yeah. It's like, I have to say, it's like Hillary saying that Trump is colluding with the Russians when she's the one who sold them all the uranium.
I can't.
She's
I
like, no,
can't with him.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But anyway, that's the new thing. It's like, call people out for what it is that you are. Or, say you're the safety
Right.
net when you're really, say you're the sheep when you're really the fox or whatever.
Right.
That's
But,
the new thing.
I mean, one thing though I have to say that Trump is really good at, because you brought it up, is saying that if somebody's reporting something against him, that it's fake news. When people say, hey, that's fake news because they don't like it, you also have to check that too. I mean, you just got to check it all the way around. Everybody needs to check everything. Please don't believe people when they say, hey, this is totally credible. Hey, this is totally fake. You just have to be smart, people.
Yeah.
Please.
And it's also easy to twist things.
Yes.
And still be truthful.
Half-truths.
Right, yes.
Half-truths are the hardest thing in
right.
media, because they can take a little bit of truth and then just swing you all the way around and just...
You'll notice, when I watch the news and I see them doing that,
Right.
some of the key phrases they say are, and what's next? Are they going to do this? And then they pose that question to some expert and they go, well, I think that's entirely possible given what we've seen here, that they might go ahead and take this over or delete this from our lives. And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You guys just went from this to
Now
this.
they're like, our freedom is on the line!
Yes, it's crazy. So there's a lot of things like that going on out there. And I think fake news is something that's not going away. But, it's something that's going to be a part of our
Right.
lives. And I just hope that the younger generation, like my daughter's generation,
I think that
will be
they
wise
are.
to it.
They are. I mean, literally, my daughter in school right now as a 2nd grader is being taught tips on how to check credible sources. And she'll tell like my aunt and my mother-in-law, no, that's not real, as a 2nd grader.
That's
so
nice.
that's, I'm proud of that. And I think it's really important that we, in our generation, help our younger generation and our older generation, because the older generation they have a harder time to see the difference. It's hard for them to recognize. They don't know that the virus thing pop-up is fake. Mm-hmm. They're like, certainly, I have to put my credit card in.
I know. And so with these younger generations being more skeptical, because that's essentially what it is.
Skepticism, it's making us a little too skeptical.
Right?
But
That's the only issue, because
it's unfortunate.
it's great to think that, well, everyone's honest,
Right.
and there's a certain...
Now we're growing
Beauty
up
to
like
naivete.
everyone's dishonest. It's all bull.
Yes.
I just want to live off the grid in a tiny house and...
It's guilty until proven innocent.
Right.
Instead of innocent until proven guilty. That's sort of the new world that we live in. It's
Right.
like, okay, we assume these people are guilty as soon as we hear something. And it may not even be a credible source. As soon as we hear something, oh, well, Kevin Spacey must have done that.
It's true.
We don't know. We don't know what really happened, but we immediately say, guilty until proven innocent. And I think that is kind of what, you know, the next generations are going to really be combating, because they're on this thing more than we are.
Yep.
Even they're like, whoosh, you know, you have to set serious discipline time frames with your kids on
Right.
their stuff, or they will literally be on it constantly.
Absolutely.
And then of
And
course
we don't even know the effects that that's going to have.
we don't.
We don't know yet.
But once they're 18, then what? You think
Right.
they're going to stop? You think they're going to change because they've had enough of it,
It's
or do you
really
think they're going to get
interesting.
further into it? So there's more ways to access people through this, and everything that you do on your phone, I promise you, this is not a conspiracy theory, but every single thing you do on your phone is tracked and known.
Absolutely.
By your carrier?
Our phones are being Our phones are listening to us.
Correct.
People think that that's not real. That's real.
No, you have
people.
apps on your phone right now. I guarantee I
Yeah.
do too.
Yeah.
That can access my microphone and that can listen to what
Any
we're
of
saying.
the apps
For
that
sure.
ask you to use your microphone are definitely 100% listening to what you're saying, just in general.
Watch, check it out. So I'm going to start getting retargeted ads for lawnmowers. Watch this. I'm looking for a lawnmower. I think I want to buy a lawnmower. Maybe I should go to Home Depot or Lowe's for a lawnmower.
Yep.
Do you know a good lawnmower?
I need a lawnmower.
Yeah, Toro, or like, what's
yeah,
a good lawnmower?
absolutely.
Now watch.
We need to cut our lawn.
Then
Tomorrow.
I will
It's
screenshot
true.
and
I was
comment.
gonna say screenshot it.
I will screenshot and comment
100%.
into the thread.
Yeah.
I will absolutely be targeted ads, not just on Facebook, but all over the place.
We were speaking about like people having, you know, a uterus outside of a body that would be able to grow a fetus.
Dang, we just went way
Dude,
over there.
seriously.
Like, whoa.
And then an ad came up in my Facebook like 2 days later with literally, like, I was like, what is that? Why is there a
No, it's
baby
like in the
growing
future, a womb
in the
that
future?
grows.
Like a futuristic womb, like an article sponsored ad. Like, I was like, okay, that's creepy. For sure, I've never searched anything like that. Like,
What?
something so
Ever.
random. I'm gonna show it to you. I'm gonna like re-find it, and like something that I did never considered even existed. Like on my Facebook came.
That is
I
unbelievable.
screenshotted it to her, and I just couldn't believe it.
It's same thing's happened to me where I've had conversations with
terrifying.
people and I've told them about like products. I'm like, hey, you should check out this product, and then they'll text me and be like, hey, someone was definitely listening to our conversation. Look at the ad.
Right.
The first thing I saw, and it was an ad for that product.
Right.
So these things are happening. Like access to the phone is no question,
Yes.
you know, a real thing.
Right.
So I'm a little bit concerned about what happens next. Like there's some censorship issues that we've seen with like YouTube and Facebook.
Sure.
Since a lot of censorship, they're like taking down people's pages who have certain beliefs and things like that, and who have big followings, and or they're not giving them access, or they're keeping them off for a week, or like saying, hey, we have to do this audit. And so at the end of the day, you are responsible, I think, for doing your own research and finding your own news.
Right.
The best thing I think we can teach our kids is it sucks to be like, hey, you can't believe anything, everyone's a liar, you know, life sucks. Like that's a terrible way to like go about like letting your kids know what's up.
True.
You know? But it's like, I think you just teaching them that you can't assume
Right.
that it's correct. You can't believe. Either you know or you don't know.
Exactly.
That's what's up. Either you know or you do not know.
Mm-hmm.
There's no such thing as I think so or whatever. That's opinions.
Exactly.
Those are opinions. Opinions are okay. But know when it's an opinion, know when something's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know something, that means it must be a fact. And a fact that you've experienced or
This
confirmed.
is true.
That's the end of it right there.
Yep. Don't spread non-facts.
AKA fake news.
That's right.
Stop it, folks. All right. Thanks for tuning in, Miss Sophia. Great to see you.
Always.
Amazing.